All of you double AFFers, welcome to the show. We're excited you're here. Been a great day for AJ and I. We're putting in work on the TikTok. It's growing. It's been a lot of fun there, but we're also getting even better news about things to talk about and spicing up the fantasy football before we get into our drafts. How's everything going on your end, AJ?
It's great, man. Thursday, our first official football game tonight. Yep. What do you think about that? One of our AFC South teams is playing tonight.
Even though none of the stars, well, I know Trevor Lawrence isn't, but I'm ready for it to get canceled like it does a couple hours before every year.
Yeah, it really does. But that just means we're getting closer. We're getting closer. So,
fun fact here: my friend Jimmy and I actually helped build some of the things inside of the Hall of Fame. We did a bunch of the restaurant renovations and stuff in there because he worked for a company that did that.
Nice,
that's cool. Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Centafanti. He just asked for a shout out, so here it is. Oh, he said that we're not allowed to make fun of him. Yeah, we're just allowed to give him positive shout outs.
You're gorgeous.
Yep. Looks like you've been working out. Looks like all of our listeners been working out too.
Yeah.
So hats off to you guys. We got the news here. We got the news here. We got the AFC South. So let's dive into that. So I am very relieved. Deontay Johnson got a contract extension, 2 years, $39.5 million. As AJ pointed out in the text, we're going back and forth. They must have been listening to our podcast and realized, like, we need this guy. Like, he is good.
Well, it's like I said, I was shocked that they extended him. They usually don't, but they got him for like a reasonable price, I would say. And I mean, I think there was like 5 major wide receiver deals this offseason given, and his was 4th in terms of money. So I think that's kind of right where he falls between like Metcalf and Debo and all those, McLaurin. I think he's below all 3 of those guys, but he got paid.
And I wonder too if he kind of waited out, even if he didn't play or if he did play, his stats might be differently because really different from his past because of the quarterbacks they have. So I wonder if that would kind of take a hit on his payment anyway. So maybe that's why he just settled. But
yeah,
I'm glad he's here.
I'll say again, if you listen to the last pod, I was definitely on the side of his production will still be there, regardless of his payment, but overall, his volume's definitely going to go down. They're not going to throw as much as they did with Ben behind the line. However, I still think he's the primary guy. And I think if you go back to Mitch Trubisky playing with Chicago, I mean, he peppered Allen Robinson over 100 times. So I feel like you're going to see that same type of focus on Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of training camp news. AJ Brown looks excellent. I know that's, we expect him to, but it's just good to hear his name coming out. Right. It's good that they're using him because we're a little worried about them not passing to him as much. Romeo, is it Dobbs? I like Dubs. So Romeo Dubs.
They called him Dubs his entire time at Nevada, and he never corrected. He just liked it, which makes me like him. Like, yeah, call me Dubs.
Yeah.
But
Dub
then
City.
He did an interview in training camp, like over the past week, and they asked him specifically, "How do you pronounce your name?" And he said, "It's Dobbs."
Dobbs. Okay. Romeo Dobbs got high praise from Aaron Rodgers, and we all know Rodgers hardly. I don't know why. If it's just he doesn't think the rookies do what they're supposed to. Yeah, they just don't get the recognition, and that's huge because Christian Watson's also there, and he's like the focal point of what could be coming up. He's injured, so that's huge because he's not going to be getting the reps with him in training camp. He's not going to get the chemistry. And with, I can't say it, Dubs. I'm just going there. Dobbs. It's not, I expect, but it's not spelled the same. So that's where I'm getting confused. Yeah. But it's awesome. And he's definitely somebody I'm going to target now, late round.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I mean, there's always late round flyers that you can, I don't want to call it waste a pick on, but if it doesn't work out after a week or two, you can just drop them. If you don't see the potential there, it's not a big deal. I mean, there's guys going to be on the waiver wire. There always are. So take your shots, pick your favorites and take your shots.
Hollywood Brown. He's not fully practicing, but he's at camp. He's watching the plays. I don't know why he's not practicing. If he's not allowed, if they're just mad at him, which they probably should be. I'm not too sure of that, but he's there. At least he's with the team, showing some support. Robert Woods, he has an increased workload now, which is great. He's a PPR machine, so he's not going to be the downfield threat, but he will definitely be getting those points per reception. This is, I'll go into a little bit more interesting at the end, but Tyquan Thornton standing out as the Pats wide receiver. We heard that Mac Jones really stepped up, so we're going to see what Tyquan and some of these other guys can do. I know Devontae Parker was kind of where a lot of people were leaning because I think he's reliable. People know his history, but I still like Jacoby Myers when it comes to that PPR idea. Yeah. So, but the hot take here is Nyheim Hines is going to get a much bigger role on the offense. He's going to be involved heavily. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen Matt Ryan use a running back a lot, like a crazy amount.
How history escapes you, my friend. Devontae Freeman, absolute beast catching the ball and running the ball with Matt Ryan.
That's kind of what I meant, I guess, in the sake of like split backs, where he, like, some quarterbacks do prefer the catching running back compared to.
Well, we've seen Matt Ryan throw the ball to the running back a lot, and if we're going to be honest, in camp, or if me and you are just looking at the Colts roster, and we're like, okay, where would I go if I were Matt Ryan? I would pass to Michael Pittman, and then who? Nyheim Hines.
Fox?
No, exactly. I'm going to Nyheim Hines next. And I think with the workload that and we'll get into it here shortly, but the workload they gave Jonathan Taylor, I think they want to save him from, getting 400 touches. Like, they don't want to kill this guy. And Hines is so dynamic. We've seen it 2 years ago. He finished in the top 20 of running backs in PPR.
Do you have any other news or anything you want to touch on there? Because we can jump right into the Colts. They're the first team we're going to target here.
Sure. No, that's it for me.
Okay. So. Cool. Yeah, we're going to move into the Colts. But before that, make sure you guys hit the TikTok up. It is at AA Fantasy Football. We're putting out news almost every day. We're giving you some top 10s. And then if you want to hit our Twitters, mine is at FrostedBlakes44, and AJ's is what he's going to say right now.
At AJ20K. Just spell out 20. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a comment, like. We're still doing the giveaway. There's still time. There's still time for the giveaway. $25 Amazon.
Do we
card.
Have a lot? We have a lot of people on there.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, it's going to make the chances better.
Listen, it's in double digits. That's all I'll say. Ooh. It could be anywhere from 10 to 99.
99.
You got to find out. Go to the channel and see. It's AA Fantasy Football as well.
I'll say this as the winner of that giveaway. If you'd like to join the show at any point, you are absolutely more than welcome. Very easy. You download the app. You can jump in. But if there's anybody else listening that wants to join just for a little tidbit, give some input, hate on any of our takes, please let us know and we'll let you join. We don't have a problem. If anybody gets mad at each other in arguments, it's AJ and I. We won't get mad at you.
Yeah.
And it's not really mad. We're still like BFFs, but it's just like, hey, like, you might not come over for my birthday this year type of thing.
I mean, yeah. Let's talk about the Colts.
Let's do it. Matt Ryan, starting with the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Where are you with him?
Not drafting. I mean, he's probably a low-end quarterback too.
What if you have Michael Pittman? Is he worth just waiting the whole draft to stack at the end?
No. I think Matt Ryan's around quarterback 22 in my rankings.
Yeah, he's pretty deep.
There's just nothing. I mean, he's a statue. He's not going to throw that much, not like he did in Atlanta. He's going to be more of a game manager here. He's going to make big throws. He's going to make enough throws to make Michael Pittman, Nyheim Hines, Jonathan Taylor very useful and ownable in fantasy. Like, they're definitely targets you want to, or players you want to target. But Matt Ryan's not one of them.
That makes sense. I'm with that. I'm in a 2-quarterback league, in AJ's league, actually. That's where I kind of see his potential if I take a quarterback early and really want to wait. Other than that, though, I mean, the stack is where it can kind of get spicy. But again, he has the best line he's probably had in his career. Yeah. So I do think he's going to be a lot safer with everything he does.
Let's talk about
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, the real meat and potatoes here. Jonathan Taylor, everybody's unanimous number 1 pick. Whenever we have a unanimous number 1 pick that everybody agrees on, what happens? They never finish number one.
Yeah, they just.
It's not like, there's examples of guys that have produced, but not to that number one pick. So I completely understand why people would take him first overall. I have the first overall pick in one of our leagues that we already know about. It's a league that I'm in with Alan. It's Kevin's league. I was fortunate enough to get the first pick, and maybe it's Jonathan Taylor. Maybe it's not. Number 2 is going to have to find out that day. But
his is full PPR, so I could see you going CMC.
You never know. Maybe I go a receiver. Who knows?
Maybe.
I've got the cojones to do it. But let's talk about him. Bonafide RB1. He's probably the safest option, right? Like his workload's going to be there. His health is there. His line is amazing. But like you said, there is a bit of a worry with the passing volume. It's definitely going to go down for him. I mean, Frank Reich wants to use Nyheim Hines like we just talked about, but let me go over some Jonathan Taylor stats just so everybody remembers how good he was. I know on a points per game basis, he was like one of the lowest RB1s ever. I know people constantly point that out. I think he averaged like 22.5 points per game, but Taylor had 85 carries inside the 20-yard line. The next closest was 46. He had 41 carries inside the 10. The next closest was 30. 26 carries inside the 5. The next closest was 16. So this guy is an outlier above anybody else in terms of scoring opportunity. So that's where your floor and your safety blanket lies if you want to choose him first.
He's going to get a chance to score almost every game.
And they've got a better quarterback who's going to take care of the ball this year. So it's like...
Yeah, and so the big thing, too, is he had 11 straight RB1 performances in a row last year.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley had 10 in 2018, and Christian McCaffrey had 9 in 2019. So by all means, he could. I think the idea is that he is the safest. He has the team surrounding him. If you look at Christian McCaffrey, his line is not that good. A little bit of an injury concern. And beyond that, you're tossing up one or the other through the rest of the picks. So I have no problem with that. And with Nyheim Hines, I like him and like J.D. McKissick in the same boat. I like Nyheim Hines better.
Yeah,
I think he's a little bit better.
I'm a lot higher on Hines, and I think Hines needs to be drafted. He should not leave your league undrafted.
The only reason that I would argue that is just he is for PPR purposes. Like he's not going to really get to rush it many times on his own.
He's being included in some rushing, but yeah, you're not drafting him for that purpose. My thought process is always, and if you guys have listened or if you're new listeners, the majority of people play PPR or at least half. So if that's the case, there's value in receiving backs. Nyheim Hines could be your starting flex. I think he has that type of upside this year. Like legitimately, we've seen it before. And he's healthy. He's ready to go. And they need a second option behind Michael Pittman.
And that is who I think a lot of people are high on. He had a breakout year last year. I don't see any reason he can't be in the top 10 to 12 wide receivers again, even top 8. Nothing beyond that, though. Like the Mo Alley Cox, maybe a streamer here and there. Jack Doyle, I think, is still there. So even so, I'm not too impressed with anything beyond Michael Pittman.
So we do have to note, I'm intrigued with who's going to be the number 2. Alec Pierce was somebody they drafted. I'm pretty sure he's a rookie this season. His name's come up a little bit in camp, but Paris Campbell, apparently, who had a lot of hype last year. Remember, we were discussing Michael Pittman versus Paris Campbell because T.Y. Hilton was still a thing. So everybody was like, oh, who's going to be because Campbell has amazing speed, especially around here, Ohio State guys. We know about Paris Campbell. He's had a lot of buzz and a lot of chemistry with Matt Ryan at camp so far. So I'm interested. Just I'm not talking, he's not draftable yet, but keep your eye on the waiver wire week 1, week 2. That guy might be somebody that's catching passes. But like you said, Michael Pittman.
I forgot.
Yes.
I forgot about T.Y. Hilton completely. Like, I know he's not there. He's just, probably retiring. I even forgot he was a part of that team.
Yeah, Michael Pittman was the 2, quote unquote. But Pittman last year, 19.9 points per game on 8 targets per game last year with 88 receptions. He's currently going 40th overall. Like this guy.
That's with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, this guy has wide receiver 1 potential. Legitimately, like you said. So he's a steal. He could be your, I mean, depending on how you draft, he could be your wide receiver 3 if you go running back, wide receiver, or whatever. You know what I mean? So
right,
he's kind of a
you'll
steal.
be sitting pretty if you can pick him up. So the Jags,
yes,
the team that knows how to beat the Colts, to stop the Colts from making the playoffs, just like they did last year. Starting with Trevor Lawrence, I don't think I would take him in any typical leagues.
I don't either, but since we do have a super flex or a 2 quarterback league, I would take Trevor Lawrence over Matt Ryan as a QB2. I think he's going to have...
For what reason?
Well, he's going to have rushing on top of Matt Ryan. He runs a lot better than Matt Ryan. Obviously, he's a statue. I really think Doug Peterson is going to just connect with Trevor Lawrence and help things. Camp news has been good on Trevor Lawrence. He's looked good. They've added a ton of weapons for him to use this year. The level of skill of those weapons, debatable, but they have added a lot more than they had last year. I love his boy. We're going to get to him in a second here. Travis Etienne, he's healthy. He's ready to go. And then, we'll get to the receivers, but
they played together,
didn't they? At Clemson. Yes. So there's going to be instant chemistry like day one. And let's just get to Etienne. I love him. I loved him last year. By the time drafts come up, I think he might sneak into round 3. He's kind of going round 4 right now, middle of round 4, early 4. But he's standing out of camp. The buzz is going to be crazy as time goes on. And in a couple weeks when drafts really get fired up, people are going to be like, oh, like I remember him at Clemson. I remember last year he was supposed to be this pass catching, awesome running back. And I think people are going to do that. I know James Robinson's healthy. I know he's also going to be slowly worked in because the Achilles tear is brutal. Like you can't just shove a guy in. Like look what Cam Akers did when he came back with the Rams. He looked terrible. He was slow. He couldn't move. So I'm not worried about Robinson probably for half the year, honestly. So it's Etienne's backfield, and I think they're going to try to fly up and down the field on offense.
Well, even if you're thinking about Etienne and James Robinson taking anything away, I'm pretty certain that Etienne's the pass catching back, no matter what, whether Robinson's fully healthy or not.
Yeah.
So, and he's going to produce in that sense. So I love James Robinson because he's an undrafted free agent. I love those guys
those
working
basic
hard.
Runners.
Yep, getting that work through there. But I think they'll give him the respect and give him some chances. But Peterson loves to run. That we've seen when he was with Philadelphia. Yeah. So I do think we see a lot of running to make up for either one of the guys.
And I also think people only look at Etienne as a pass catcher, but he can run. Like he can go between, he's not huge, but he's strong.
Oh yeah.
He can go between the tackles. He can go outside. They've also moved him around all over, like put him in the slot, put him outside. Like this guy is like LaVisca Chenault on absolute HGH steroids. Like this guy is a machine. Let me do a little this or that with where Etienne's currently going. How do you feel about that? Let's just look at him as a flex instead of a running back so we can kind of intertwine the positions. All right, where you at? Okay, he's currently 47th overall. That is just, I mean, that's end of 4th. Please let him fall to me. Okay, Travis Etienne or DJ Moore?
DJ Moore.
I'm Etienne to the moon on that one. Travis Etienne or Elijah Mitchell?
Etienne.
Okay, those are the two right around him right now.
Okay, Mitchell's a hard one because I love the O-line and the way they go around running, but I think Etienne has the better upside without any of the worries that Mitchell has.
Okay, one more. Josh Jacobs or Travis Etienne?
Travis Etienne.
Jacobs going...
You've kind of steered me away from Jacobs.
Well, he's going 5 spots higher.
For the right sense.
Yeah, he's going 5 spots higher than Etienne. So that just goes to show you where the value... There's value in these middle rounds that people kind of just think are the running back dead zone, but there's actually some sneaky guys between like the 4th and 7th round at running back that you can get.
Do you know if we'll be seeing Etienne or Josh Jacobs tonight in the Hall of Fame
I would
game?
love to know that. Probably not Jacobs, but maybe Etienne just to get a little run. I don't actually know.
I don't think they want to put many stars on there. From what I've heard, that turf with the Hall of Fame field is brutal.
They need to really fix that,
but I don't know.
It's the first. Everybody's so excited about it because nothing's going on.
That's all we have to talk about the Jags.
One more thing.
Those are the only weapons.
One more thing. James Robinson currently going 100th overall. Would you take him any higher? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably would. It depends. Like I'm thinking if I get like one running back, wide receiver, quarterback, I'm stacked everywhere else. I could see him, taking him there. But I think there's a lot of people that he falls in the same tier with.
Okay.
So I'm not like trying to really scoop him out from anybody else.
I think what's interesting, like the people that are going around him, like Melvin Gordon's going 4 spots higher than him. And I would take Melvin Gordon like 10 out of 10 times for this year. 8 spots below him is Ramondre Stevenson. I don't know what people are missing on Ramondre, but I don't understand. We'll get to the AFC East, or we already did the AFC East. So like, you guys know how much we love him. I don't know.
What about who is it? Rashad Penny or Chase Edmonds? Would you take either of those guys over James Robinson?
I'd take both of them.
I'm not even finding James Robinson on this list right now.
Yeah, I've got him at 100. His average across all the leagues is 106.2. So
okay.
Yeah, like ESPN, he's 109 ADP. But then Michael Carter's 130. I don't know. Let's move on to the receivers. If you have any interest
we
in
don't
any
have
of them.
to. Well, I do. I think I've given Christian Kirk a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one I'm focusing on.
Okay.
And I think he's fine. We saw some good glimpses of him when he was with the Cardinals. We saw him produce a little, and then he got injured the year and kind of fell off.
Speaking of
good
glimpses, can I give you his stat line from last year? I think you're going to be very surprised.
Yes.
In Arizona with DeAndre Hopkins and Andy Isabella and Zach Ertz, and didn't they have one more? Who am I forgetting? There was one more receiver. Rondale Moore. I mean, he got touches with all those guys around there. 77 receptions, 982 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
I'm impressed.
In PPR, 13 points per game. This guy's going 104th overall. I mean, I think we're undervaluing him at this point. He's the wide receiver 1 on a team with a young quarterback that they're trying to figure out. So it's like,
yep. That's what I was going to say. Is he's absolutely the wide receiver 1. There's no Marvin Jones is fine, but he is not going to outproduce Christian Kirk.
Right. Evan Ingram.
Do you want to talk about him?
I want you to talk about him.
We don't have to. Again, let's just pretend it's 2017. I loved when I put that in the TikTok. Everybody was also, I'm just going to take Todd Gurley.
He's struggling with drops in camp. There's way better options. I'm not.
That's what I'm used to. So it's not like a big factor.
You're in an abusive relationship with Evan Ingram. You love the drops.
I don't really care if he drops a ball. I just like to support him.
Fair. Let's move on to the Texans.
Please. I don't see much there. Streaming, if you ever need to, that's it.
Sure.
Texans.
The Texans have
a little bit more exciting to talk about than the Jags.
I don't think so. Really? Okay, let's see. Where are we starting?
I love the underdogs. So Davis Mills.
I've heard nothing but good things about Davis Mills so far in camp. I think
we saw nothing but good things.
I think with the way the second half of the year went for him, he's a decent QB2, maybe mid to end QB2.
That's all.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
You want to move to the running back?
Please.
I mean, I think he's perfectly fine to support Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
So for that sake, I like him. And again, QB2. Who's the running back to try to get on this team?
It's undoubtedly Damien Pierce. I don't want any piece of Marlon Mack.
That's what I thought.
I don't want Rex Burkhead unless literally every running back
That's the only other one I was thinking.
Is not playing. Rex Burkhead. Damien Pierce was drafted by the Texans this year. He's absolutely the most talented running back in that backfield. Last year in college, he was PFF's highest graded running back in the entire FBS. So the talent is there.
Well, and the team alone is at the point of, I mean, they're still rebuilding, but they're still in the experimental mode where they're going to give him the ball to give him a couple games to try.
I don't think it's going to take long at all for him to take control of this backfield. Marlon Mack's probably going to be the starter out of the gate. He's got experience.
That's what I've seen too.
But Pierce is going 134th overall. He's free at the end of your draft. There's no reason that you shouldn't be taking the shot in case he takes the backfield over. It's not a good line. It's not a good offense. I know that formula doesn't usually equate to somebody that you want to play in your lineups, but the volume is probably going to be there very quickly for him.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about any of them because I don't trust that line either.
Sure.
So, I guess it is what it is with this team. Brandon Cooks is a star by all means. Get him if you can. Wherever he's fallen, if he's the next guy on the screen and you don't know who to take, just take Brandon Cooks. You'll be perfectly
he's
fine.
Like he's the Mike Evans pick. It's like nobody cares when you take him, but then he crushes people. Currently, he's going 53rd overall. So that's start of the 5th round in 12-team leagues and 10-team. He's just underrated. He's like Chris Carson at wide receiver. Unbelievable PPR option. Last year, 90 receptions, 1,037 yards, 6 touchdowns, 15.5 points per game. Under Davis Mills. Come on. It has never been important who the quarterback is for Brandon Cooks. He's always good.
What about Nico Collins? Because I know we saw a little bit about him, some flashes last year.
Yeah. I look at him kind of like like I did Paris Campbell. Like, check the waiver wire, see how he does the first couple weeks. Just keep him on the right. Like you can watch players, mark Nico Collins. That's somebody. But, they're going to be losing a lot. So they might air it out quite a bit. And Nico Collins is a good downfield guy.
Remember when this team was so loaded? They had J.J. Watt. They had everybody.
Arian Foster.
Yep. The good old days. Who's the receiver?
Will Fuller and D-Hop.
Andre Johnson.
You're going further. Okay.
Yeah, even further. That was when Arian Foster was there, right?
Yeah. Didn't they have like a decent tight end? I feel like they had a decent tight end, and I can't think of who it was.
I don't know. Now they have Pharaoh Brown.
Yeah, he's awesome. So Brandon Cooks, by the way, volume is going to be way up because they have nobody else to throw to.
Yeah. Right. Here are the names we're saying. They won't do anything. All right. I am happy to move on to the Titans if you are.
Let's go.
Are the Titans going to win the division?
No.
Okay. Just the Colts know how to choke, so that's kind of why I think it's possible. Tannehill was once a diamond in the rough that we found for a couple of years, and now he's more like a turd in the rough. He doesn't have the most stable weapons right now. He has Robert Woods, which we like, but they have Trailon Burks, which the thing they hated on with him was him having asthma, and it was affecting his training camp. And people were down on him because of that. But I'm pretty sure when you have asthma at 22 years old, you've had it your whole life at that point.
You can always develop asthma.
I'm not. Okay. Well, do you think Tennessee has more pollen? Kevin and I were talking about that.
I doubt it. It's the South. Probably not. But you never know.
Okay. Well, yeah, you don't. Either way, I like Tannehill. I want him to do good for him and his family. But I don't have much other stakes in him.
Yeah,
this year.
He's another QB2. I would take him over Matt Ryan for fantasy purposes. Outside of that, nothing much. But let's talk about the most important piece of this offense, which is Derrick Henry.
The king.
He has never been injured in his life except for last year. And people are just magically falling off of him. He's 28, I think. 28 years old. So we're not expecting RB1 numbers, but I mean, he averaged 24 points a game in 8 games last year.
Well, I would say I'm expecting your RB1 on your team, but not overall.
Right. Yeah, sure. Correct? But like, this guy, he finished like RB22 last year and he only played half the year. And that's even in PPR. Like, he doesn't catch the ball. So people are banking on him staying hurt because it's a weird bone fracture in his foot. Like, I get it. He's a huge guy. He uses his feet and he's heavy. Like, you can't play like that. You can't play fantasy like that. And the amount of points this guy puts up is just absurd. I think he's a fine top 5 pick. Like, I have no problem.
I think Derrick Henry, if you take him, 4th to 8th, if you get him in that range, nobody's going to give you any, they're not going to talk trash to you for taking Derrick Henry there. I have he's going to be good as long as that foot is fine. If it gets bad, he's going to wear a boot again like he did. And he's still a bowling ball.
And the only fear, the line did get a little worse. They lost a couple pieces on the line. So that is a fear, a genuine fear I'm sure people have. But it's kind of interesting. He's going 5th overall in ADP right now, which is right around where people start taking Cooper Kupp and, flirt with Justin Jefferson or Eckler or Najee Harris or Joe Mixon, like guys like that. So other guys I do like more than Henry, but I feel like he's being kind of punished just for one injury in his life, honestly.
It's also so relevant too, like, because it was towards the end of the year and he came back and he didn't look the same. Obviously he just shouldn't look the same. So I think that's why people are more down on him.
But we did mention the wide receivers a little bit. Robert Woods, I think, is like the news on him in camp is that he's like full go. Like, he looks like normal Bobby Trees. He's going 98th overall. I mean, that's just crazy. He averaged 15 points per game last year in 9 games. I know it was with Matt Stafford, but he was still second fiddle to Cooper Kupp. So it's like, he's the main target there.
Imagine how boring your team would look, but still good, like, performing if you had Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods, like wide receiver 2 and flex. But they would do everything they need.
They absolutely would.
The biggest worry, though, is he's a little bit older for a wide receiver.
I think he's 30.
He's 30. Yeah, and so that with the injury, you do expect a slow start, but that's why, like, when we talk about him, we're selling the PPR upside because that's what he's going to be doing. He has great hands. He'll get you touchdowns in the red zone, of course. And then also, other than Trailon Burks, like, who else is there to throw the ball to?
It's just Westbrook, Etienne, and that's basically it. And Austin Hooper, if you believe in that type of thing. But
do they have I'm gonna look. Do they have a scat?
They
back
do.
Kinda?
He was still there last year. I just had the depth charts up. Also, there's Indy, Tennessee. Yeah,
Dontrell Hilliard.
But Hassan Haskins is also there.
Yep.
So a rookie. I think he went to Michigan, right? Yeah.
I wonder if his middle name is Hawk, because then you could call Hassan Hawk Haskins Triple H.
Sure. 6'2", 228. Might be a guy to invest in. At least keep your eye on. But speaking of...
Is Hassan? That's his size? Isn't that close
Henry's
to Henry's
like
size?
250.
Or is Henry taller?
6'3", almost 6'4". But yeah, it's a big back.
Okay.
But speaking of exciting rookies... You really brushed by just talking about the asthma of the man, but Trailon Burks is probably my favorite rookie receiver in this whole draft class, at least for this year, maybe for all time. He is very...
For real life and for fantasy.
He's very A.J. Brown-like. He's a big 6'2", 225 monster after he gets the ball. He doesn't need a ton of separation. Even in camp, he's been jumping over people, making one-handed catches, like disgusting highlight reel stuff. His ADP is 106 overall. I will be trying to walk away with him at every single draft if he's going that late. Like, this guy is like, I just can't believe he's going so late, but I know it's early. So,
well, we gave the recipe for why he would have success already. Derrick Henry could be injured at some point. We don't think he will be, but Robert Woods, he's not going to be the downfield crazy threat kind of guy. And honestly, I don't know. Everybody knew coming out of college, like they gave up the house in AJ Brown and the contract, everything to get Trailon Burks. So they have a full investment in him. And we love Mike Vrabel. Like, we don't doubt anything, the coaches, their decisions and stuff. So I trust him coming in.
Like the 1 year, I think 2 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 seasons ago. AJ Brown and Corey Davis were both playable, very productive wide receivers in fantasy. I mean, literally like wide receiver 1 and 2, while Derrick Henry was getting the volume that he was getting. So if Tannehill can be efficient, Robert Woods and Burks can both be productive fantasy receivers.
Everybody was late for Corey Davis. I feel like we started getting him as we saw things happening, and then we got him the next year. We don't have to be late on Trailon Burks.
Don't be like those guys. Don't be late on Trailon.
We saw Austin Hooper have success with Atlanta. He didn't do much with the Browns. You got nothing on him? Okay.
He can't catch. He is now Evan Ingram.
Well, we'll find out, because they're going to try to use him.
I don't know, man.
They will try to use him.
He's always catching those touchdowns randomly at the goal line.
Yeah. He is, like 2 or 3 of them at a time.
Austin Hooper, I don't know. I think Tannehill could use a tight end well, but the Browns focus on the tight end a lot, and he just did nothing. He had so many timely drops, balls that hit his hands, and it was like for first downs and touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, it just was bad.
Well, he could be doing what Odell did and making Baker look bad on purpose.
Maybe.
Just saying.
He had the contract. Who could, who needs
it was the recipe there in Cleveland.
And that's it. That's the AFC South. Oh,
let me ask the question again. Who is your favorite to try to get in this for a fantasy team, and who is your shakiest player? The one you're like, if he's on my team, I'm a little worried about him.
Oof. I don't want to pick like obvious high picks.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not expecting you to. I don't want.
I want
Jonathan
so
Taylor.
Bad.
No,
I wish I had the number one.
I'm talking like, let's say let's say I have the 8th in Kevin's league.
Sounds like Jamar Chase.
Just so everybody knows, Kevin is here. Actually,
shouts to Kevin, our number one fan.
This is
arguably.
Yep, he's easily the number. I don't know. He might be the number one fan. He has a tattoo.
Where is it?
I know. I'm not allowed to say on the podcast. Rated R, so we don't want to go there and have to put the explicit on top. But so let me, instead of saying like the favorite you want, like who do you think is maybe the sleeper you want in this league? And then who do you think that people will take that won't perform?
I want Travis Ettiene in every single draft. Like I want him in every draft. And doing this podcast hurts me because a lot of people we play with listen to this and they're just going to take him in front of me at some point. And I know I'm either going to have to reach for him or not. Man, this division really is not great.
I think Trailon Burks
wanted to say him. Yeah.
Type of pick I'm going to go with.
I really think he could be.
Yeah.
Pittman's going to be huge. He's just set up for greatness this year. I guess my biggest worry, I guess it would be Derrick Henry. I guess.
Okay.
And really it's just because of that injury, but it wouldn't, make me afraid to draft him. I value him at a certain number. I think I have him like 8th overall on my.
I would say it sounds like 8 because you.
Yeah, and I like running backs that catch the ball a lot.
I would say Christian Kirk is my biggest worry.
But see, I didn't want to say that because where you're taking him, you're not losing anything. It's like the 10th round. So it's like,
That's a good point.
I don't want to be hurt by somebody. I think
no,
like Jonathan Taylor would be a little scary because you're just assuming he's the best running back to take. He's going to go 1 overall most of the time. Like, that's nerve wracking when you have the first pick. Like, you want that guy to perform. But
I'm with you. I was going to say maybe James Robinson is shaky, but he's also going so late. You're not losing anything. Yeah. There's not a lot to pick from.
Etienne could go the other way too
for this league.
Be a hype monster, and for some reason they just don't get him the ball. Like, but that's hard to believe. But you've seen
I don't see that happen on the team.
The Seahawks paid Matt Flynn and then started Russell Wilson. Things happen.
Anytime I hear the name Matt, I always think
they both played
Hasselbeck.
For Seattle, by the way.
They did, and I loved his. We want the ball, and we're going to score. Interception, pick 6.
He was a decent little quarterback, though. Matt Hasselbeck, not bad.
He was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the Steelers
beat
them in the Super Bowl.
But Bettis wasn't in that one time, or Ben wasn't in that one time.
Love to see it.
They called a touchdown. I was sad. Ball was at his waist, and they said, "Come on, man! You robbed Sean Alexander of a great life."
But but when you're such a prestigious dynasty team like that, you get the call.
Yeah. So next podcast, we will be choosing the giveaway winner. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, comment below, like the video, share the video, tell everyone. If you are listening to the audio format, whether it be on Spotify or Apple or wherever, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe and like and do all that good stuff, and you will be entered. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out the TikTok. We keep plugging it. It's real. We're having a fun time. It's a fun time. They're short videos. They're very informational and a lot of up-to-date things. So it's easier to hit that every day compared to the once or twice a week we do the podcast. So check the TikTok out. AA Fantasy Football, pretty much everywhere. Alan, you know what to do.
Love it. Am I allowed to do it this time? You're going to call Bob
supposed to call in. Alan, you know what to do.
AA Fantasy Football.